contact clergy, have them to come in and do a cleansing or whatever, or I'll even do one myself if that's what they want. But
will you do that?
yeah, I can do that.
I won't. I'll call Joe.
I mean, I you know, I don't like to do that, you know, but I used to be, at one time I was really active in church, and I still consider myself a strong Christian. And I think, you know, a lot of people think, a lot of people probably disagree with me here. They say only a priest can do this or only a minister can do that. The Bible said, I can't remember the scripture exactly how it's worded, but he said, I give you power. He gave power to all those that believe, you know, not just the priest, not just the clergy. So, you know, I think if it comes down to it, in a situation where, you know, Stan walks into a case and, you know, and it's demonic, I think he has as much power with God to get rid of that as a priest does.
So does that seem to work when the times you've done that?
I have done it once. Actually, it was a client's home. We went into the client's home. What are you laughing at?
Not me, Joe.
Oh,
So demonic, I'm hauling honey. I'm calling Joe. I'm going, hey, Joe, I got a case for you, buddy.
It's good to have somebody on speed dial for those situations.
No, for instance, we did an investigation in McKee, Kentucky. The client was absolutely scared to death of their own home. They had experienced things. They had actually had one photo that had 3 different faces in it. And so they called us to come and investigate. And we did. And they were so terrified. You know, I didn't want to put them off waiting a week or 10 days or whatever to a minister to get there. So I had the prayers with me. I went through and I did the whole ceremony myself, and they've not had a problem in the home since. You know, so.
And I do believe that too. All jokes aside, I really do believe that too. I believe that we can go in there and we can cleanse the house. And if it doesn't work, we do have other options.
Right.
You know, we can try it first while we're there. You know what I'm saying? That way, hey, we might just get rid of the burden Johnny on the spot, you know.
Yeah.
But if it does not and it still continues, there is people we can call in and say, hey. And hey, you know, and they'll do it and be happy to do it. You know, these folks are out there doing the same thing we're trying to do, just help people out.
I didn't mean, you know, I didn't mean to belittle the clergy there earlier, and I believe that there's cases out there that they would be better. But at the same time, I believe we have the authority. You know, we've been given authority by God to do a lot of things ourselves.
I believe the client themselves can do it.
Yeah.
They can ask it to leave. That, you know, they can state that, hey, this is my home. I live here. You may have lived here at one time, but you need to leave. I'm trying to raise a family. I'm trying to live my life. If you've got issues, you need to go on and find what those issues are. But you need to leave my house alone. This is my house now. And you got to be stern about it. I always tell everybody, as a client, you'll have to try that first. If that doesn't work, then we can bring in the sage a little bit and see if sage will work. Now, I'm not saying that sage works, okay, or holy water or anything like that, but it's worth a shot. And if that don't work, then there is the next step, the next level we can go to. We can actually bring in somebody of their religious faith, whether it be a priest, a rabbi, whatever their religion may be. But I believe when it comes to presenting evidence, I try not to hold anything out. I do give my personal opinion. I mean, I've got a few years' experience on this with a lot of things, and I've got a lot of individuals like Joe here that I'm learning from too that has a lot of experience. You know, and I take individuals like Joe here being very credible, and I take his opinions at heart. You know what I'm saying? So I try to go by on things like that. Chris Dedman is another good individual out there. Bill Scott is another great guy out there. There's great people out there that are extremely credible that I really, really take them at heart. So if they'll tell me, okay, this is how you need to do this, do that, how you need to do that, then I'll try to approach them in that way. But I'm like Joe too, going back to being personal. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's different how you present evidence. But I go about it going, if I catch something, I have to be honest with you what I think it is, my honest opinion. Or if a lot of cases, there is such a thing as presenting evidence that says, I have no evidence. There is that situation too. But if I've got a picture, I'll show it to you and say, well, here's what I call it. You know what I'm saying? I call a half of a face or a half of a body or a shadow person, a possible shadow person. And I believe it, possibly. I always throw that in there. That covers my hide. You know what I'm saying? I say, this possibly could, become in. And now I always ask them too. We're two minds here. What do you think that we caught in this picture? You know, I never leave the client out. The client will look down and go, I think there might be something here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That way, I can say, possibly. You know what I'm saying? Because nobody ever knows of this. You know, we talked about the ghost in the jar, you know, for evidence. You know, it ain't like we go in there with a mason jar, open it up and go, come here.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, we have to rely on our equipment, digital recorders, cameras, infrared, just different pieces, you know. And I always teach too, you know, I always go in with a client with equipment. I always tell them, look, I scouted it out with the EMF detector. I found the area that I believe might be haunted, and we lucked out and got this EVP as evidence. They work, different equipment works together. So I always try to let them know what all was involved. And sometimes, usually on the first investigation, I'll let them walk around with me, and as they're explaining and talking and showing me this is where this has happened or something like that, I always let them hold an EMF detector too.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Because it might be something that's actually drawn to this individual, and I want to know if it's something going off around them. You know, if it's them, if it's psychokinesis, it may not even be a ghost involved at all. Their body's energy may be moving objects, and it may be what's setting off my EMF detector. So I kind of try to rule out psychokinesis right off from the get-go. I ask, is there any young children in the house, especially young females that are going through puberty stages? Their bodies are going through changes. Their chemicals are going through their head, you know, in a different rate than a normal human being would, you know, like an adult. So they have changes, and they're uncontrollable body energy in this moving objects.
So I mean, you believe that can happen?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I'm all for anything when it comes. It's paranormal. It's been proven that these things do happen and they do exist, and there's several cases on this. But I'd like to rule that out because that is not a ghost.
No, yeah,
that's that individual doing it. You know, and I really try to. That daggone bee.
Yeah.
It's a fly swatter. But
I thought it was an orb, man.
Yeah, I thought it was a flying saucer on the camera here.
I didn't want to say nothing, but there's something on your shoulders.
Like a baby moth man. But the moth baby. There you go. We got the moth baby on film. But you know, all jokes aside, I do try to let the client know all that we have done for them, where we use, you know, different techniques, different types of equipment, what we have caught. I try to be honest for my credibility purposes too. And then I'm like Joe. I don't ever go in there and say you got something demonic in here.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Well, for one thing, we don't have solid proof that's demonic.
And like before, you know, she had spoke about, you know, just a bad person don't necessarily have to be demonic, right?
Exactly. You know, it could be an entity. You got to realize these people, most of them were human at one time. You know, because you can go into the elemental stage on this, you know, for paranormal too, which never was human. But in most cases, it's a deceased human being. Now that deceased human being had a personality when they were alive. That energy carried on to the other side. So if they're a prankster or a jokester or just even a wife beater or something like that,
yeah,
they've got a certain violence to them, violent tendencies, and you walk into this location and they are still there, they're going to have that same violent tendencies towards you, not necessarily meaning demonic, you know, it's just somebody violent, jokative, they might be a prankster, you know, and they may be playing games with you. These personalities have crossed over, you know, to the other side. That's what makes that individual an individual. But I believe that's most of the case. I have never been on a demonic case. 12 years I've been doing this. Joe has. I have not. I could care less if I ever get one.
Yeah, right.
And as a matter of fact, I pray not to. You know what I'm saying? I hope that the clients I go in that I can actually help. You know, that I don't like going into somewhere that I feel hopeless or helpless. You know what I'm saying?